Hi, I'm Chris Burns and welcome to The Network. We're about to connect into a matrix of newsmakers to get to the bottom of a topic. But beware, our guests have 25 seconds or less to answer. Let's take a look at today's topic. He took over at the head of the church, replacing a globe-trotting pope who defended traditional values. Elected in 2005, Pope Benedict XVI worked as the guardian of a church which is fighting a drop in the number of its faithful in Europe. He wanted to shift the focus back to the values of the church, a church haunted by sex abuse scandals. Criticised by some, applauded by others for his conservative stance on abortion, homosexual marriage and the priesthood of women. At 85, the Pope says he no longer has the physical strength to continue and has to pass on the torch. But to whom? Since the cardinals were principally nominated by him, will the next Pope also be a conservative, or should the Church adopt a more reformist approach?
Ou est-ce que l'Église devrait adopter une approche plus réformiste?
Connected to this edition of The Network, here at the European Parliament in Brussels, and Morelli, teacher at the Interdisciplinary Research Centre for the Study of Religions and Secularity in Brussels. In Paris, Bernard Lecomte, biographer of Benedict XVI, author of The Secrets of the Vatican. And finally, also here from the Parliament, Pierre Galand, President of the European Humanist Federation. A question for all of you, starting with Anne. What has been the impact of Pope Benedict on the Church over the past 7 years?
From a secular point of view, I would say that the pontificate of Ratzinger has been excellent, because his radical conservatism, combined with a very bad communication policy, has highlighted some extremely backward problems. Handled by him in a very traditional way, and so many Catholics have left the Church. For us, that's excellent.
Bernard, what's your opinion?
I think that after the extraordinary pontificate of John Paul II, Benedict tried to pass on two concepts. The truth, he wanted to straighten out a few things, and simplicity. First of all, the simplicity of the man, but also the simplicity of his actions, by showing that a pope too can give up his responsibilities for health reasons.
Pierre, what's been the Pope's impact?
He is a man who took on his responsibility with an absolutely unbearable doctrinal rigour. And that is what caused, as Anne said, many Catholic Christians to distance themselves from this kind of religious authority.
Did he do a good job of handling the sex scandals, or should he have been more aggressive? Anne?
Well, there were many scandals within the Church, and in fact, it was only when he could no longer ignore them that he reacted. But it's clear, like with the Legion of Christ affair, that as long as it was possible to quash the Marshall affair, the Church did so. So I don't think he pushed in this direction.
Bernard, should the Pope have been more aggressive on this issue?
Well, if you like, there's a kind of injustice against him, because even though the paedophilia scandals within the Church are true and very often dreadful, it's precisely Cardinal Ratzinger, the future Pope Benedict, who managed to put an end to these scandals. First of all, by convincing John Paul II, and then by doing all he could in 2010 when he himself was Pope.
Let's look at the future. What kind of Pope should the cardinals choose, a traditionalist or a reformist? Pierre?
Un traditionaliste ou un réformiste, Pierre?
First of all, I want to say that I don't agree with what I just heard. During all the time he was cardinal, this Pope, just like the rest of the religious hierarchy, covered up the paedophilia scandals. And that is revolting. Now, looking at the future, when you know that it was he who nominated most of the cardinals, I'm not very optimistic that there will be a change of course.
Bernard, what do you have to say?
Conservative, reformer, those are very political words. What I think is that the cardinals will elect a federator, a pope who'll bring people together. You can't elect at the head of a church of 1.3 billion faithful from all over the world someone who's not, first and foremost, a man who brings people together.
Okay, but from which continent, Anne?
Well, I don't know from which continent, but I'm absolutely sure that he won't be a progressive. And I'm also sure of another very important thing. Unfortunately, it won't be a woman.
Okay,
is it time for a pope from Africa? There's much talk about a Ghanaian candidate, Pierre.
Listen, I'm repeating myself, but it would be quite normal that they should try and have someone who can bring people together at the head of this church, considering the harm that has been done so far. This year marks the 50th anniversary of Vatican II. That was a very different kind of church, a whole different view on the respect of human dignity. Here, it's a dogmatic kind of respect that's been put in place. The rules come from the top, and we, free thinkers, just cannot agree with that.
Bernard,
will it be possible one day to have a woman pope?
Certainly not a woman pope, a pope from Africa or the Third World. That was your question, of course. Yes, that's possible. But a woman pope, certainly not.
Does the fact that the Pope chose most of the cardinals mean that he will probably be a traditionalist? Is that unavoidable? Anne?
On the question of women, it's weird that a pope can be black, but that he must absolutely be a man. You show the color of your skin more frequently than your sex. As for your question, I'm convinced that the pawns Ratzinger has placed within the church will be faithful to him and will vote for a traditionalist.
Whoever the new pope is, how should he face the problem of birth control? Pierre.
The problem of birth control is simply to start by giving access to contraception, to make sure young people get both sex and emotional education in schools all over the world, because there is an absolute taboo which goes against our vision of the world and the way people should be allowed to live their lives and handle their own freedom. So for us, all we can hope for is the Church's extremists to become a minority.
Bernard, we saw that Pope Benedict XVI showed a little flexibility on this issue. Are you hoping for more flexibility from the new Pope?
Nobody can say. You know, the Church represents 2,000 years of tradition, so you don't run it like a Twingo. Pope Benedict XVI made some progress on the issue of contraception because of AIDS, obviously. In that respect, he made a step forward. On the rest, at the Church's own rhythm, the next Pope will also make a few steps forward. But again, within the Church, change is a long time coming.
So, Anne, do you have any hope there will be any change within the Church on that issue?
I hope the next Pope won't be as conservative as this one, but I don't hold out much hope. And I fear further condemnations on the part of this Church, which condemns a pregnant little girl who, for example, doesn't have access to abortion. I think such attitudes are monstrous.
Bernard, if we can't have a woman pope, can we at least have a church that ordains women priests?
Well, that might happen one day, but for now, once again, the answer about the Pope is very simple. The Pope is chosen among the cardinals. As the cardinals are currently all men, there are zero chances that the Pope will be a woman.
We've reached the end of our show. I would like to thank our guests, Anne Morelli, Bernard Lecomte, and Pierre Galand. I'm Chris Burns. Thank you for staying connected to the network.